Now, on issues around global collaboration and sustainable economic growth, I have with me an economic expert, one of Nigeria's best economists. He is Dr. Chijioke. Ekechukwu. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much, Benny.
Happy New Year, Doctor.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you too.
Great. Let's get to the conversation. Can you take us through the idea and possible benefits of building global collaboration for sustainable economic growth? We had Mr. President Tinubu there tell the world out there that no one can do it all alone. That collaboration, how much do we need it and what's the urgency?
Yeah, it's a known fact that no country is an island of itself. No individual is an island of himself. And if we know that what you have in surplus, somebody needs it. And what the other countries have in surplus, you need them. And so because of that, we need one another to be able to meet our various needs, financial needs, agricultural needs, manufacturing needs, and all needs. So you see that countries of the world, whether you are fully developed or underdeveloped, we all need one another. And that is just actually what this sustainability issue is. Having said this, you just know that Nigeria has entered into a lot of bilateral agreements, a lot of regional agreements, a lot of multilateral agreements in the past. We need to follow up on all these agreements that we have had with various countries, because you see that sometimes we need many other countries while they need us. And so we need to look at those agreements and look at what we have actually signed in the past to be able to know how we benefit from all of them. We belong to a lot of them. We know AGOA. AGOA is just talking about African growth for Africans, and is just to say every African country can actually export their products to America, to USA, without paying duties and things like that. And so that is just one particular agreement that is so beneficial to Africans and obviously to Americans, because Americans also need all those raw materials that we're going to be exporting to them. So many times, all these collaborations are win-win for all the countries, and we need to utilize them at all times. It is very important for us all the time, if we, after this kind of summit or meetings, we just set a committee for follow-up purposes. Many times we discover that when we finish this kind of meetings, there may not be follow-up, or even if there are follow-ups, these follow-ups are handled by some government agencies that may not follow through. And so we need to continue to follow up and see that we get a full benefit of all these collaborations and all these agreements. I think going that way, and we need to set milestones on what we want to achieve and when we want to achieve them. When we do that, we'll obviously utilize fully the benefits of all these collaborative meetings and agreements.
Okay, Doctor, taking from your submission, there is one thing to make this commitment, and it's another thing to ensure that these commitments come to fruition, that actually follow it up to implementation. And with that, there is the need for that proper handshake between the public and the private sector. In other climes, the public sector, the government just get the enabling environment there, while it is the private sector, while it is the role of the private sector to follow up to actualize on this. In all of this, there are predictions too that in the next 20, 30 years, the world will be all about Africa with the huge resources we have, both in the human and natural resources. How positioned is Nigeria for such opportunities, in line and also in consonance to the need to actualize some of these deals reached?
Well, most of these agreements are moving on. I think, in my opinion, that we haven't been very well positioned. AFCFTA has just come on board, and I look around, I see some other African countries taking advantage of this particular agreement. And I'm not seeing anything on ground. We have done a lot we have watched. I've not seen enough on ground to see that we are taking benefit of this kind of agreements that we have. It is just a situation where African countries must do business with themselves. Africa has a lot of raw materials, a lot of natural resources, yet we allow some other countries in the Western world to take better benefits of all these things. Africans need to do business with themselves, and we know that we have not harnessed these business opportunities that we could do with ourselves. A lot of, we don't even have many bilateral air service agreements with many African countries. We don't have any maritime agreement with many African countries where we can ship things from just nearby African country to Nigeria and vice versa. But we have a lot of these things with some foreign Western countries. This is not good enough, and so we need to, as African countries, know that we need to take the bull by the horn and take advantage of our nearness and our cohesion and our trade agreements that we have had for Africa to develop Africa. Once we can have a common front as Africans doing business amongst ourselves, others will want to join us and will want to also give us some, take some benefits of being part of us. So we need to, as Africans and as Nigerians, take advantage of all these agreements because they will indeed benefit us.
Okay, Doctor, talking about the AFCFTA, just a piece of information. The Secretary General of the AFCFTA is actually in Nigeria to meet with developmental partners as well as the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. And I think it is to boost the Guided Trade Initiative, which Nigeria started as, like I say, a first stage to actually trading in the continental market some 3-4 months back. But we just hope that after all these deliberations, Nigeria will go full force, considering the fact that we have the market strength in Africa. But actually coming to that, how ready are we for this market? Yes, government has tried to ensure that the production sector becomes much more productive. That we can see in the budget being presented, the supplementary budget of last year, and the 47 trillion budget we are looking forward to this year. Are all these budgetary provisions adequate for this, or what else do we need to ensure that the key players in Nigeria, talking about manufacturers, are ready to compete with counterparts across Africa, particularly from South Africa and the likes of Rwanda?
Yeah. Even with the products we're already producing, we can start to dominate this market, African market, with the products we already have. We have a good number of manufacturers. Of course, we could have done more in manufacturing sector, but even the extent of manufacturing we're doing, we already have automobile companies. We have companies in consumer goods area. We can actually dominate the African market with taking advantage of the AFCTA agreement. And so when we know the benefits we are going to have, what we need to do, both government and the private sector, is just to actually be deliberate about growing the businesses we're going to do with African countries and measuring the benefits and measuring the goals achieved from quarter to quarter and from quarter to yearly. And when we keep measuring what we're able to do with various countries, one after the other, then we know we are on our path towards achieving the benefits of the organization. Right now, like I said, I haven't seen so much on ground to ensure that we take advantage of all the agreements that we have. Of course, we have the ECOWAS trade liberalization that is existing that, again, we haven't taken full advantage of. We need to look at all means of making sure that we are the leaders in the forefront of all the agreements that we have so that we can take full advantage of them.
Okay, Nigeria is building a robust CNG infrastructure to ensure alternative energy, and not just alternative energy, but also clean energy for usage. How is that going, and can we also take that to the continental market?
That's a super way to take advantage. You know, we haven't actually taken advantage, a lot of advantage of this kind of deposit of gas that we have. I'm sure you know the gas flaring of the Niger Delta area. When you go around there, you still see that we are flaring gas. These are the areas we can harness to even grow the economy and grow the GDP of this country. When we're talking about increasing the revenue base of the country, that is just one latent place, latent opportunity that we have there we can tap on immediately. In fact, if you call it a low-hanging fruit, I call it a ripe low-hanging fruit, because that one we can tap immediately and take advantage of and export to the entire world. And we are so blessed with it, we need to use the gas deposit that we have and export to the whole world. That way, we can grow our revenue base.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Ekechukwu, for sharing your thoughts with us at this point in time. You've been a blessing to us, and we really appreciate you. And one of the reasons why we are appreciating you, or to show our appreciation, we have a token for you for being very illustrious, being very insightful in our contributions. We'll get to present this after the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.